Okay, this is Mr. Elmhorst. I'm going to go over the homework for ratios and proportions practice. So the first one, we got a tanker ship that is leaking, and we're going to identify the given rate. It's a table. We have gallons and days. So we're going to label the rate first, and then use the rate to help find the unit rate, and then also find equivalent rates and ratios. So first thing I'm going to do is look at 2 going down to 1. In order to go from 2 to 1, we're going to divide by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and that is going to be our unit rate, meaning it's compared to 1. So once you divide the 2, the bottom of the ratio, by 2, you're going to do the same thing to the top. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. So the ratio 5 to 2 simplified down to a unit rate is going to be 2.5 gallons every day. Now, once you have your rate, you're going to start comparing it to equivalent days. So 2 to 4, looking between these ratios, 2 times 2 is 4. So we can use the same factor up here. 5 times 2 is 10. And going from 2 to 6, 2 to 6, here we know our multiples, 2, 4, 6. 2 times 3 is 6. So we're going to use the same multiple up here, where it's 5 times 3 is 15. So 1 day, 2.5 gallons. 2 days, 5 gallons. 4 days, 10 gallons. Six days, 15 gallons. So we're going to keep using that ratio. 2 times 5 is 10. And then 5 times 5 is 25. So 25 times 3 is going to give us 75 gallons. So 10 times 3 will give us how many days? 30 days. Here we go. And 75 gallons. So we go back to the questions. How many days would it take to leak 75 gallons? It would take 30 days to leak 75 gallons out of this tanker ship. So it sounds like it needs to go in for repairs. Okay, just doing equivalent rates, just by doing halves, dividing by 2, half of 92 is going to be 46. 46 divided by 2 is going to be 23. And then 23 divided by 2, 11 and a half. Okay, so this is going to be our unit rate. Every hour, Greg's going to work, he's going to make $11.50. But the question is, what about 40 hours a week? So if we take 92 and then label that 8 hours, then we try to compare that to 40 hours. If we look across here, does 8 have a multiple that works with 40?
Yes.
What is that multiple? Times 5 times 5. So answering the question, we're going to do 92 times 5. And the last one here, a contractor can power wash 26 patios in 2 weeks. So this is the given rate. Patios in weeks are different. We're going to call it a rate. From 2 down to 1, divide by 2. So using the unit rate, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 26 divided by 2, 13 patios in 1 week. So using the unit rate, I'm going to go back around to 5. 1 times 5 is 5. So 13 times 5 would tell us how many patios in 5 weeks. Okay, all right, checking our answer for this one here. So you multiply 5 times 3 is 15, carry the 1, 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So the particular contractor, if he works for 5 weeks, 5 weeks, he would wash 65 patios to answer that question. Now, we're going to use proportions to solve for each one of the situations down below. We're going to mix blue and yellow paint to get green. So first thing, we need blue, 5 blue, and then it says 2 pints of yellow. But wait a minute, where did we get the green from? When you mix blue and yellow, you're going to get green, so 2 plus 5 is 7. So looking at this ratio, setting it up, we have ratio 1, and then we're going to make that equivalent to ratio 2. So looking here, we're going to look between, or we're going to look up and down to see if we can find the factor. And knowing my multiplication facts, I see 7, and then I see 28, and I know that there's 4 7s in 28. So 7 times 4 is 28. And then just knowing that, we're going to use the same factor. 5 times 4 is 20. So in order to make 28 pints of green, we're going to need 20 blue to mix with the yellow. So there's 3 boys and 4 girls in the dance club. If there's 35 students, how many are girls? So setting up the ratios, we're asking about students and girls. And it's saying there's 4 girls, and then 35 students is the question. But wait a minute, the given information, if we look at the ratio 1, it just says boys and girls up here. Boys and girls. So we got to figure out how many students are there. To set up the ratio, we're going to add 3 plus 4 to get 7 students. Now that we have the ratio, now we can look between and see what is the factor. 7 times 5 is a nice one. That gives it 35. 7 times 5 is easy. 4 times 5 is 20. So for the second example here, if you had 35 students and the ratio stays the same, you would have 20 girls out of 35 students. And we got 12 tomatoes, TOM, and then 4 jalapenos for the first ratio. That's for ratio 1. And then we want to make an equivalent ratio asking a question. 9 tomatoes. So tomatoes is on top right here. So we look between them. 12 and 9 is not so easy. Then you can look for factors up and down. Up and down, well, 12 divided by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So we do the same thing here. 9 divided by 3 is going to be 3 jalapenos. So we got students and then girls, but then it's asking for the ratio. What is the ratio of boys to students? So that's our question. Boys to students. And we go back, and then there's 30 students. So we got boys to students. And there's 30 students, and it's asking us to simplify the ratio. Simplify means we're going to divide by something to make it smaller. But wait a minute, it gives us 18 girls but it asks a question about boys. If there's 18 girls and we subtract it from the students, that means we're going to have 12 boys. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 30 divided by 6 is 5. So ratio 1 is equal to ratio 2 by a factor of 6. 12, if there's 12 boys, there's 30 students. If there's 2 boys, there's 5 students. Okay. So looking for factors up and down, 12 and 16 does not have a factor. If you're looking right and left, you're looking back and forth, there's not a factor. So then we're going to cross multiply 12 times 20 and then divide by 16 to get the answer. So 12 times 20, that's 240 divided by 16. I believe that is going to be 5. Let's see. 5 times 6 is 30. Okay, so that's going to be 15. So if there's 16 boys and 12 girls, if there's 20 boys, and then there would be 15 girls for the answer. Okay, 2 and 5 does not have a factor, but if we look this way, 5 times 4 is 20. So 2 times 4 using the same factor is going to be 8. All right, and the last one down here, you set up the ratio, 6. 6 times something is 8 is not a good factor, but if you look this way, 6 times 9 is 54. So we use that same factor there. 8 times 9 is 72.